Go, Chael, go.
Man, I am red hot right now, and I'll probably cool down before this comes out. I don't know if you just watched the World Team Trials, but Kyle Dake just beat Jordan Burroughs for the first time. They're in the second match, so he can close it out, make his first team. All of a sudden, 2 mystery points just show up on the board for Burroughs. It's 3-3. Dake scores a takedown, and all of a sudden it's 5-5. So Dake gets his 2 points. 2 mystery points show up. It's not a commentary against Burroughs. It's just I don't know how these guys hang around in that sport when the referees constantly are picking the team. I don't know how you're to expect a guy to sacrifice and stay in there so long. I mean, Dake was robbed in the national finals against Burroughs. And then today, there was just 2 mystery points. They just showed up. They showed the replay over and over again. It was unbelievable.
What was the final score of the second match?
The second match, well, I believe it was 5-5, and because of that, 5-5, but criteria went to Burroughs. I could be wrong. Maybe he got a push out at the end, but I believe it was 5-5.
Dake gets the win on the first one on criteria, and then Burroughs wins the second one on criteria.
Yes, and if I'm wrong about it, Dake might have gone for something at the end and fallen down. I mean, you know how that goes. But I believe officially it was 5-5 criteria to Burroughs. But it was just this mystery 2 points just appears, and they kept playing the replay. And you couldn't make any kind of sense of it. It was one of the most bizarre things I've seen. John Smith went to the head table in 1996 when Pat Smith was wrestling Sean Bourmet. And when he left, these 2 mystery points just appeared. Now that's 2 decades before instant replay. They have instant replay now. They replayed it. It was just 2 mystery points. I just feel for Kyle Dake right now. I'm going, look, how long can a guy with a 4-year degree from Cornell who has a lot of other opportunities, how long is he going to stick around in a sport where you won't just call it straight?
And let's not forget that then in the first less than a minute of match 3, Burroughs scores 4 points, and then doesn't score another point for the rest of the match. And just holds on. And literally, there was times you're like, you've got to hit this guy for stalling. You have to. Like, he's not doing anything but holding on and slowing the pace down. And the refs are just like, okay, let's hit Dake for stalling. He just shot 7 times in a row. Like, what are you talking about? He's stalling.
Exactly. Yeah, he was in the process of a shot when they stopped one of it to put him on the clock. And, David Taylor's match with Cox was a little bizarre, too. I've never seen David Taylor so mad. I've actually never seen David Taylor mad. I've never seen him so mad before. And it was the same situation where they get in a dust-up, and all of a sudden the refs just call caution and 2 against him, which they have the right to do. In the Burroughs match, they just created 2 points. But in the Dake match, in the Taylor match, they can do that. But, man, what an abuse of that rule. It was just, man, it was tough to watch. It was tough to watch for the reason. And MMA guys get screwed all the time. It really doesn't bother me. Yeah, there's a paycheck. You lose a little prestige. But it's a little bit different in wrestling where it's all sacrifice, and the only value you get is an intrinsic value. Man, it's got to be called straight, and it just has to.
Now let's look at the world team, though. We've got Jordan Burroughs, a 4-time world team member and Olympian. Isn't he the best guy, though, at the weight class to go to give us the best shot? After his appearance that we saw in Rio, is he still the best guy to go and give us a shot to win the weight?
I think that's a fair argument. It'd be pretty hard to lose that argument. Now, Kyle Dake did go overseas and won a number of medals, and one of those was against Sargouche, which was Burroughs' toughest competition, and Dake teched him in the very first round. So Dake can definitely beat everybody in the world. He's just got to get out of the country first.
So there is an argument with the old Russian philosophy of we're going over and wrestling these tournaments. We're wrestling a guy that's 3rd on the ladder, and he's by far and away the best guy out there, technically speaking. But they never sent him to the world tournament and never sent him to the Olympics. Right. It's always some other guy. America's kind of becoming that kind of situation where they're kind of setting it up through the referees and through the match judges of this is the guy we think is going to give us the best chance of winning a medal at the weight class. So this is the guy that's going to go.
Yeah, and there's always been a little bit of that, but man, I'm just seeing it more now than ever. And I think one of the reasons that it's so prevalent is because now we have instant replay. So now you can't hide anything. I mean, everybody in the world has a camera now. And with social media, it's pretty tough to keep a secret as is. But particularly when the governing body is playing it on big screens. I mean, I'm watching it on Flow at home 4 and 5 times. There is just 2 points awarded to Jordan Burroughs. And the commentators from Flow said, oh, they gave it because he turned him. When he turned him, Dake's in on a leg. You mean he tipped him? He exposed him? Because that most certainly didn't happen. But a turn is where one guy's on. It just did not happen. It just simply didn't happen. There was 2 mystery points.
Right, just out of no place. And I saw that. I was actually watching on a flow like you were too as well. So it was actually a pretty neat day. But I do want to ask you something about was it Jordan Oliver that all of a sudden got hit for an illegal substance? Did anything more? Because I missed it. All I saw was I've been traveling for the last week, so all I saw was that one thing. And then nothing else about it. Did anything else come out of it?
Yeah, so this happens on enhanced tests all the time. Guys always make this mistake that if something is legal, then it's allowed. And it's only illegal stuff that you buy in a back alley from some guy out of the trunk of his car that's banned. He has an absolute legal prescription for a medicine called Adderall, which is some kind of a stimulant, and I think it helps with like ADD. But it's banned because it is a stimulant, and it's banned, and he's just sitting there going, wait a minute, my doctor told me to take this. Guys make that mistake all the time. I do believe it was completely an innocent mistake, but to answer your question, he tested positive for Adderall. It'll probably cost him 2 years. It already cost him his national title. They officially stripped him, and he's out of the trials. But likely he will get a 2-year ban, which is a little harsh in my opinion.
And the 2-year ban I believe is harsh, but that's kind of the standard for your first failure. It's a 2-year ban. MMA was trying to do the exact same thing, and they didn't really install it. Like some guys got harsh 2-year bans on almost nothing, and some guys got 9 months on some of those like super significant. They got like a 9-month ban. How come MMA hasn't even though they're trying to, hasn't really caught up to? Hey, first offense is 2 years. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, so that was a little bit confusing. Nevada was the first to pass that, and they made a ruling, and the press release and the announcement, everything came out that their first offense was a 2-year ban. I think the second offense was a 4-year, and the third offense was a lifetime. And they said that was adopted everywhere, but to your point, somewhere we missed the next press release because that most certainly hasn't been. There was a gentleman that was just suspended, but he was suspended for 3 months. And it was a pretty silly thing. I think 3 months was probably right. But to your point, as far as that blanket absolute ban, I mean, you remember what happened with Joe Warren, and we're all going, oh, wait a second. This is a little bit unfair. Was supposed to win the Olympic gold medal, never even had a chance to go. And so I think that I like that there's room for extenuating circumstance, but to your point, we were told very clearly that it was adopted and first offense was 2 years, and it's not true.
And see, and I agree with you. Like a guy like Jordan Oliver, who's got a prescription from a doctor that says, yes, this is what you're supposed to take, but he didn't realize it was on the ban list. Okay, look, we get it. We understand. You've already lost your national title. You've stripped. You got to give back the United States cutout that they gave you. You got to turn it back in again. And you're going to lose your world team. There's no way for you to get in the world team now. And here's your 6-month ban. Or here's your 7-month ban. 2 years is that in wrestling, that kills a guy's career. That could potentially kill a guy out.
Oh yeah, and particularly when the athletes don't agree. Like here's my favorite example because it was just so wrong. But in 2008, a Chinese female gymnast won the all-around gymnastics gold medal, and the gymnastics all-around champion is like the most coveted prize in Olympics. That's who the other athletes look at and go, okay, you're the best athlete here. And they give out 2, one for the women, one for the men. The girl that did it was a 14-year-old Chinese girl, and she had tested positive for 1/1000th of a trace of ibuprofen that has a street name of Advil. They not only took her gold medal, they barred her from the Olympic Games for like 8 years, but for gym, that's a lifetime ban. And they barred her coach who gave it to her and was caught on NBC camera, pulled it right out of his fanny pack and handed it to her. So, of course, she had a reasonable belief to trust him. He had no idea that Advil was banned. No one knew it was banned. They banned him for life. His career is over. The silver medal. Now, this is maybe just as relevant to the crazy land that is, but the silver medalist happened to be her teammate, another 14-year-old Chinese girl who they then wanted to put on the stand, play the anthem, and give her the gold medal, and she refused. She said, absolutely not. This should not be banned. I do not believe she cheated. And the point is, if your fellow competitors are looking around going, hey, I don't care if you take that. I don't know where this governing body gets to say they do. So they force her onto the stand while they give her friend's gold medal and play it. And she's crying the entire time. She is so upset she doesn't want to be up there.
Which brings us to Wanderlei Silva. Obviously,
transition, yes.
With his huge ban, and all of a sudden, just from running away and not testing, essentially, just taking off, lifetime ban gets reduced to, I don't even know what it got reduced to, like, whatever the hell it was. but now he's back. And I got to be honest with you, Chael, I look at this fight, and I kind of wonder why. I get the heat. I get you two don't like each other. I get there's real like some hatred there. I get that. But why the hell is this guy still fighting? It makes no damn sense.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused. So I'll tell you this on his drug test. When he got busted, he was so mad. He turned on the UFC, on the sport, on Dana White personally. He just got so mad and he yelled at everybody, but he never slowed down and just told his side. So here's the way that day went. There was no out-of-competition testing, and USADA was not involved. I was the first one tested, and Wanderlei was to be the second one tested. They showed up to Wanderlei's gym, and the report came out that Wanderlei ran out the back door and got in his car and ran away. Well, that wasn't true. Wanderlei actually confronted the guy and just said, hey, you need to prove to me who you are. Now, you have to understand, too, Frank, this had never been done before. We'd never been tested at a competition. Nobody ever showed up at your gym and says, give me a sample. So in today's world, we would understand if somebody knocked, and we've all heard the stories. But at the time that this happened, it had never been done. I was done, and 20 minutes later, they drive over to his gym. When I was tested, the gentleman who showed up provided absolutely no identification. He takes me into a back room at the MGM Grand. And by back room, it was a closet. There was a mop and a broom, and it was a back little room where I then have to derobe and present myself to him to pee in a cup. And then in this dirty, dingy room from the same guy that never produced identification, then sticks a needle into my vein and takes blood. Now, had I been a reasonable person, and I wasn't reasonable, a reasonable person would have refused to do that. And that's what Wanderlei did. So when the guy shows up to Wanderlei's gym with no ID, no proof, no authority that we know of, Wanderlei just tells him, hey, you got to call my attorney. You got to get this figured out. He never ran away. I cannot stand Wanderlei Silva. However, I do think it would have behooved him to just calmly tell people that story, because a reasonable person would have said, look, man, I'm not showing you my naked body, and I'm not letting you stick a weird needle in my vein if you can't even tell me who you are.
And so now, though, the guys have to show up badges. They have to have their ID on them. They've got to show that they're working for the company and what they're doing. So that kind of set the catalyst for how it was supposed to be, how it should have been from the very beginning. It just never happened. What the hell are you doing in a dirty-ass closet getting a needle shoved into your arm? I mean, that's just invites infection. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, it was very bizarre. And then the second time I tested with them, now I know that it was the same guy. So now I know the guy. And I don't want to discredit a guy that's just trying to earn a living for his family. But, Frank, I'm sure you can imagine the kind of characters that sign up for a job where you fly around and collect pee and then fly that around. I mean, it's a bit of it was a bit of an odd deal. And the second time I knew who he was, but he just flew in and I pulled my car into the airport. He jumped in my car. He did it right there in my car. We were at a little restaurant. We ran into the bathroom there to do the urine sample, but he drew the blood right in my car. And again, I wasn't really that worried about that one because now we all know. Now we've all signed off and we know they're coming. But the first one, in hindsight, that was a weird thing to do that I just said, yeah, let's go in the closet, dude, and let me get naked, and then put a needle in my arm. I was the weird one there, not Wanderlei, in fairness.
Did you just imply that you just came out of the closet? Is that what just happened?
I went into the closet.
With a guy and got naked.
It was just a really strange thing, which again, you have to take the time period, because if you try to hang your head on that argument today, people go, what are you talking about? We all know about it. But then we did not. The guy just showed up and grabbed me, and I stumbled into a closet with him. It was the only door that was open.
Wow, that's just bizarre all the way around. There's all sorts of craziness going on in that thing. I can't even imagine, like, I don't want to. I mean, that's just, I can't even imagine what the hell went on in that closet. Like, oh yeah, now you're going to get naked. Let me see your junk. Okay, pee in the cup. Yeah. All right, great. Now give me an arm. Here, I'm going to stick a needle in you without cleaning it. And there's mops and bleach and Drano sitting everywhere. You're like, yeah, this is great.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. So when they went to Wanderlei actually spent about an hour with the guy. The report said that he just ran out the back. But the reality was he actually stood and talked to the guy for quite a while. And he goes, hey, I'm not going to sign this form. I don't, my English, give me a break on that. But call my attorney and let's just figure this thing out. And the guy just refused. He came in, no, I have full authority, and you do this now or you fail. And Wanderlei's like, well, I'm not doing anything. I don't even know who you are. And that actually is a reasonable response. What I did by consenting was probably the odd one.
Well, so in Wanderlei, when he he gets a lifetime ban whenever he doesn't show up for his first hearing with the commission. He goes in and appeals it. That story then comes out, like that's how he explains, like, look, this guy shows up with no badge and no ID, and
he never told it. Frank, Wanderlei has never told his side. I'm telling it for you now. He to this day has never told. He was so mad about it. All he did was curse and yell and cuss and then go sit in the corner. He has never come out and told his side. But I know his side because it had just happened to me 20 minutes earlier. And then Wanderlei said, hey, this guy, I told him to call my lawyer. He's got some paperwork. He wants me to, I don't know who this guy is. And it's just like, hey, man, I know exactly what happened. The same thing happened to me. I went along with it, but had I been thinking, I would have lawyered up too. I was right in the middle of something. I was all mic'd up for Fox, and I had to be on set. So it's like, I don't have time to deal with this. I'd rather just pee in your cup and get poked in the arm. But that's irrational. I behaved irrationally, even though that was in compliance.
Crap, you could have asked one of the Fox attorneys that were there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In hindsight, there had to be like some civil liberties being violated there. But it was a weird deal, man. It was a weird day. And yeah, he sat for 3 years on it, I think. Big fine on top of like a $90,000 fine, and then he used that attorney fee. Yeah, it was a bad day for him.
Yeah, no kidding. 100,000 plus. By the time it got said and done, and 3 years. So, yeah. Well, why? I mean, why is he still competing at this point? Like now, at this point, he's way past his prime. He doesn't have the same speed, doesn't have the same energy, nor does he have the same chin. How is he like? If you're playing devil's advocate, you break down fights all the time. How the hell can he beat you? How is it possible for him to beat you in this fight?
I think it would be very tough as long as I go out and perform. And I will tell you, to my detriment, I have had nights where that hasn't happened, where I left the locker room and left my skills behind. And I think all athletes do that. As long as I go out, and I prepared really hard for this too, but as long as I go out and I be a tough guy that knows how to compete, I suspect that the matchup will be fine. And I don't know, to your direct question of why is he doing it, I don't know what his motivation is. Maybe a little bit of money, and it is hard to walk away, and he's got a lot of fans, not for nothing, but he's got a lot of fans, and man, it is a seductive sport. It's hard to leave. I was just watching these wrestlers, man, I couldn't score a point on in any weight class. There wasn't a guy I saw today I could get a point on. I want to be in that tournament so bad. I mean, it's one of those things where reality sits over here, but your passion and your clinging to your youth man, that's a real thing. So
Liddell and Hughes, the rumors are they're going to sign with Bellator. They'll probably make an announcement on one of the two of them, if not both of them, on your fight night. So it makes sense to you that these guys want to fight still.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. I think those guys, I don't think they have any illusions of chasing a championship. It sounds like it's just a cash grab, which I don't know from a promotional standpoint if that's great for them to come out and say. Matt Hughes came out and said that. Look, we lost our jobs over at the UFC. We need to make a few bucks. But, Matt, I don't know if that's the best way to get anybody's interest, but yeah, I don't know if they'll fight in Bellator or somewhere else, but I do believe the rumors that they're interested and they're looking around. And then Matt was real specific on his opponent too. He wanted to fight Hoist, and I know that Hoist responded and said, "Yeah, I want to do that as well." So there's something there, man. I would definitely watch that.
I mean, Matt beat him up so easily the first time, and we're talking 10, 15 years later. Like, really, Matt's still that much better, and both guys are older. It's going to be a more of the same fight, just slower and sloppier.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird that he called a guy out that he beat in the first round. That part was a little bit weird. I thought his whole approach maybe could have used a little bit of refining, but I do believe he wants to do it. I don't think he's just looking for headlines. And where Chuck stands, I don't really know. Chuck's kind of gone back and forth, but who knows, man? Maybe.
That a lot of that's got to do with John Hackerman, the pitmaster too, who does not want him to fight anymore. And that's his main guy. So he's like, look, I really don't want you to fight. But, of course, if Chuck decides he wants to fight, John will 100% be in his corner and train him to the best of his ability and getting him ready. But he's also going to let him know from the very beginning, like, I don't want this to happen. But, I came out and said, I don't know why these guys are fighting. They're in the Hall of Fame. They've made enough money. They've got nothing left to prove. There's nothing left but to coach and raise the next generation of fighters if that's what they want to do. Why do they want to come back? I don't get it. Also, I'm going at it from my point of view. I have no desire to get back in there and compete. I have no desire to get back in there and fight. I'll ref the crap out of it. I'll be the third man in the cage, no problem, but I'm not going to be in there trying to get punched in the head anymore.
Yeah, no, I hear you. If they want to participate, yeah, there are other ways to do it. Reffing's one of them, judging's one of them, but to your point, I think coaching is probably the most likely thing. But I don't know. That'd be curious. If you ever have them on the show, I think you should ask them that. I'd like to know their answer. What's your motivation? Why do you want to do this?
Well, of the two of those guys, you got a better shot at talking to them than I do. Neither one of those two like me very much. So
fair enough. If I see them, I'll ask them. I don't have very many friends out there either, Frank. So maybe you and I should just visit a little more.
Yeah, I think like between you and Randy and Dan are like the only friends I really have in the sport. Like everybody else is kind of, or Elaine and John McCarthy. That's it. Everybody else is yeah. So let's. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about. Oh, how is your welcome doing without Joel being there? Now that he's moved on and moved off, is it still the numbers are still good and everything's going clean?
They went up a little bit, and they only went up about 4 or 5%, but they did go up. And I don't mean that as any slight. I'm just answering your question. But I miss having him down there. He was just somebody for me that was easy to talk to. He was fun. I enjoyed his crazy life and his crazy personality. But in fact, he moved away. We were essentially neighbors in Oregon. He lives in Kansas now. I mean, he's gone. I don't know what he's up to. He's blocked me. He won't talk. He's mad at me, so he won't. He blocked my phone number. He told me that through an email. He sent me an email to let me know I couldn't get a hold of him anymore, and blah blah blah. And then he finished it with good luck against Wanderlei. And so I called him just to see.
Watching you fight in Wanderlei, he'll be there.
Yeah, that's right. I called him just to see, and sure enough, I was blocked, and so I don't have an update. I'd like one, but I don't have one.
We gotta send the search dogs out and try to find out where that guy went.
That's what it seems like. Yeah, man, he's missing for now.
So what are you doing? I heard a couple of podcasts. You brought us some guys that happened to be there, like they were just happened to be in town, whatever, and you bring them in and have them co-host with you. Is that going to be the format for you going forward? Or are you looking for a new co-host?
No, I'll probably just have callers. That's how I started out. Joel was there for about a year, but I was there for, maybe a year and a half before. And I was just kind of a one-man band, and people would call in. And but I will tell you, in the world of MMA, man, we have some hot weeks. We've got stuff going on left and right, and filling a show is no problem. In fact, it's the opposite. It's like, geez, my studio time's up. But there are other weeks where there's just not as much content. And, he was someone that was really easy to just visit with, record, and put it out there. And I thought he was a character, too. So I think it helped in that regard. But, no, moving forward, I don't think I'll do a co-host. And don't forget, I'm out here in Oregon, so it's a little bit tough. If you have a co-host that isn't in studio, it doesn't sound as good, and it can just be a rough thing. Yeah,
for sure. There's always going to be that problem when you're on the road and trying to do stuff. Yeah, for sure. Last thing before we let you out of here, Dana White's had a chance to respond against DJ's rant against the UFC and against him directly. How do you feel now? We've kind of seen both sides. We've kind of read the letter from DJ, heard what Dana's response is. What's your feeling on this whole thing now?
Well, I thought it was kind of interesting. It was I could just tell by the way DJ talked, and I'm sure you and the listeners would agree. You could just tell he was telling the truth. It was just a very candid, here's what happened. And his case, if you want to take DJ's side on it, it's really important that you understand the timeline, because his biggest argument was, look, they called and asked me to do something. It was their idea. They had an idea. They asked me to participate. I said yes. So I'm preparing to move forward with the idea that they suggested, and then they came in and changed the idea, and that was kind of what bothered him. You could essentially condense everything that he said just down to that, where he's going, hey, I am a team player. I was asked to do something, and I said yes. Not a bad point by him. Dana's point is also not terrible, where he goes, look, I'm trying to add opportunity. This division business-wise has been very tough, and now if you're going to throw a headache at me on top of that, that's 2 strikes. You give me one more, and maybe that division doesn't exist anymore. So I heard both sides. I don't know that I formed an opinion, but I like a little bit of drama, quite frankly. I like a little bit of drama. I like the McGregor and the Mayweather match. As bad of a sporting competition as that should be,
I like the drama. I like the story behind it.
Your Welcome was the first podcast to actually announce that fight was going to happen. Like, you beat everybody else to the punch. You said this fight is going to happen. This is what's going to go on. And you've been on that rope since the first announcement. And that fight, if it does happen, it's going to be great up until the fight actually starts. Then it's just going to fall apart. We're going to be just as mad as we were at Mayweather Pacquiao, how that fight went down, because it's going to be stupid. But the hype to it is incredible. We're talking about it.
Yeah, it better be. I mean, the integrity of boxing is on the shoulders of Mayweather here. If he loses, I mean, my God, if he loses. But if he even has a hard time, the greatest of all time taking on a guy that's never done it, I mean, the entire integrity, and in the high schools here in the entire United States, nobody contests boxing. In the NCAA on any level, they do not contest boxing. It is absolutely a fringe sport, but it's also one of the oldest sports in the world. Boxing and wrestling, first things that ever came around before there were bats and balls. So, some people will call it a science. It either is or it isn't, and we're going to find out. If Conor can go with him at all, the greatest of all time, has any problem with a guy who's never done it, the entire sport is in trouble from an integrity standpoint.
I think it's no matter what happens. If he gets out of the third round and is now shut boxing down as a whole, no matter what happens at that point forward, because Mayweather's not going to do anything in the first 3 rounds. It's traditionally a space, but he's going to at some point have to throw some punches. He's going to have to throw at least 20 to 30 punches each round. And if he doesn't put McGregor away with 90 punches, then there's no way. Like he's just a horrible. The boxing as a whole is a horrible sport, and it's just all made up. And then now we've shut boxing down.
It's as simple as that, and there'd be no way to deny it. I mean, look, Frank, we're wrestlers. There is no. I don't care how good of an athlete you are. You could bring in LeBron James, Michael Jordan. You could bring in Peyton Manning. Bring in as great of an athlete as you want to say. You put him on the mat with Jordan Burroughs. The match is over right then. It doesn't matter what they did in their other life. If they've never wrestled, Burroughs puts them away instantly, period. And that's the way it goes in real sports. And I trust that it will go this way. But I personally believe boxing is a real sport, regardless of some of the critics. And I think that it's a very quick match.
Yeah, it should be over very quickly. It's just stupid. My prime example is Michael Jordan, who actually played baseball early in his career. Best basketball player of all time. Can argue LeBron right now. I mean, I get the arguments, but at the time, the best basketball player of all time steps in to go play baseball. Barely makes a double-A team, and had played baseball before. We're talking about Conor McGregor and coming against the best guy on the planet. Like I just don't see how that fight's going to go. But Conor has surprised me in the past. He has definitely beat me up when I've been betting against him. So I'm not gonna say anything. I can't totally rule him out in that sense.
I have to agree. I didn't think he'd beat Eddie, and I was certain he wouldn't beat Jose. And those fights combined didn't go one round. So no, he's the real deal. But
can he box? I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's the question. No. Chael, thanks so much for coming on here last minute. I really appreciate it. I know you got crap to do. Good luck in this fight with Wanderlei. I honestly don't see how this fight's going to go any other way than you just kicking the crap out of him. Don't leave your skills in the locker room.
Frank.
Go ahead.
You're a wise man, Frank. I appreciate that.
I try to be wise. I have my moments. Trust me.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, pal. Take care.
What's up?
See you, bud.